American South. He's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. Go ahead and leave us a like because we are back to G.I. Joe today. We are taking a look at the first of a series of Cobra operatives that are, let's face it, supervillains. We have Raptor today that we're going to be taking a look at, and what they have done with this character since the Vintage line, I think, is really fantastic, because in the Vintage line, he was basically just a guy that had pet falcons, and he dressed up like one. There wasn't any wing pack, there wasn't any flight pack. He wasn't taken very seriously, and he was actually kind of a figure that I skipped in the Vintage line. This, I am very curious to see. I am very anxious to get him out of the package. Check out his flight suit over here. Shades of the MCU with the Vulture right there. Just want to see everything they have going on. And here we have our standard window packaging for a deluxe G.I. Joe figure. Large window so you can see everything that's inside. The G.I. Joe logo, the Cobra symbol stamped over here. Up top, Cobra and 139 for the line. Over here, we have the QR code and the symbols. On the back, we have a great image of Raptor in flight with the flight pods behind him. And over here is some really nice artwork of the figure, of the character on the side right here. I have to say it again, I do miss the windowless packaging where something like this would have been prevalent front and center. But that is enough about the packaging. Oh, and on the bottom we have our usual. But that is enough about the packaging, because I am very eager to get Raptor out of the box. So without further ado, let's get him open and let's take a look at Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Raptor and General Ledger. And if you want one of your own, you can get him at Entertainment Earth. Entertainment Earth is your one-stop shop for all toys, clothing, collectibles, and more. Get the newest from Hasbro, Mattel, Bandai, and Super 7, as well as exclusives that can't be found anywhere else. With over 25 years in the business, Entertainment Earth has what you want. Click the link in the description below. Okay, so when I said the first in a line of supervillains, I wasn't kidding. This is going to be my first critique of the figure. I'm not sure you can call it a complaint, might be a nitpick, might be personal. But this right here, I don't like the domino mask. They went to all the trouble of updating him, making him a little bit more serious, making him a little bit more of a threat, that they didn't need to give him the domino mask. I would have much rather seen this be a pair of flight goggles, or maybe something that is connected to his Raptor cowl right here, which we'll take a look at in a moment. Or if they would have just gone completely Vulture, because you can't deny that the Vulture, the MCU Vulture inspired his redo. If they would have just gone completely Vulture and just given him a helmet to put on over top of this. The domino mask, and I understand I'm talking about a guy that dresses up as a bird and has a wingsuit or a wing pack, but the domino mask is kind of ridiculous on him. I would have rather seen this be some other kind of eyewear. The other nitpick that I have right off the bat is his holster right here for his pistol that I'm actually thinking of taking off. Because one, look at the sculpt of his Raptor belt right here, his Falcon belt. That is beautiful. That looks fantastic. That is a great piece of work. And this is covering it up in one way or another. And not only that, the holster doesn't really hang right off of his hip because of this big piece. So either the holster has to go or this thigh piece has to go. Truthfully, I would have rather seen a thigh holster on him for his pistol rather than this piece right here. But I do think I'm going to end up taking off this thigh pouch just so that I can get sort of like that Han Solo low slung holster on his thigh, so that the belt gets out of the way of his real belt right there and doesn't ride up. Let me show you. It doesn't ride up and block the sculpt of that, because even high up like this, it kind of makes contact with the thigh pouches. Doesn't really sit right. There's a lot of business going on over here. So in lieu of getting another thigh holster, I think I'm going to take this off just so that this can hang on there. Also, and I love the boots, don't get me wrong. I especially like these like Boba Fett talons that he has coming off of his boots right here. But I don't know what it is. He has a hard time standing. I don't know if it's because the bottom of the boots, maybe they're curved a little. Maybe he's just not weighted properly. Now it's going to make a liar out of me. But I did have issue, because you can see right here how this boot is kind of rounded up, that he wasn't standing properly, and he was always either falling forward or falling backward. And okay, there we go. But like, it gets worse once you put the wingsuit on him. You really have to lean him forward, but the feet aren't the most stable. And while we're on our complaints, let's start with the articulation. Let's get started on that, because the first real issue I have comes with the articulation. That Raptor here is a flying character. He has a jetpack. He has a wing pack, for goodness sakes, and he can't look up. Like, you can get him to here, but then he pushes back forward. He doesn't even really look down, and he has tilt side to side, but not a whole lot. Does get that full 360 spin going, but his total lack of being able to look up or look down for a flying character really misses the mark right there. The arms will do a full 360 spin. Whoop. But they get hung up on his vest a little bit. They'll do a full 360 spin. They will come up, but they stick. But you can get them up to here. This is as far as I can get mine up, is just under 90. You have the bicep swivel. You have double jointed arms that have some really good travel. And then you have wrists swivel and wrists hinge. Is this up and down or in and out? Okay, this one is up and down as well. So this one's up and down, which is good because apparently he's left-handed, and that's his trigger hand right there. And this one hinges up and down as well. So both of them technically are weapon-wielding hands, and they both hinge up and down. He has our standard ab crunch articulation that the Joes tend to have, the Classified series tends to have. He can crank forward a whole lot. He can crank back a whole lot. They continue his tattoos going up his abdomen so that these lines don't break. They do a really good job of that, especially since these lines sort of like flare out a bit. But you can also see on mine has some paint nicks right here, which is kind of a bummer, but it's not a deal breaker for me. It's not the worst thing that could happen. Has ball joint at the waist that he can do a full 360 spin. He can lean back a little bit. He can lean forward a little bit, and he has some side to side rock. He has drop down hips that are sticking a little bit. They can come up past 90. They can kick out to the side, even with that pouch on. They come under just under 90. Let's push them back in. Has, oh, it's sticking. Thigh cut. Sticking a little bit. He has the thigh cut. He has double jointed legs that really travel back very well. Boot cut that is hidden by the boot. And I do like these boots. I do like the look of these boots, even though they're not the most stable. Oh man, he's really sticking right now. Ankles rock back very well. Ankles rock forward, okay. And he has the forward-facing pin for some rocker. Now, not to make it all down on the sculpt and the articulation, I do like the look of him. I do like the updated look of him. He is much more serious. He looks much more like a threat than the vintage figure did. I like the color palette. I like the color choices they made. I really like the texturing of his feathered vest right here, along with the multicolor of feathers. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera that you have some brown, some dark brown, and then his tan feathers up here. And I like that they turned all of this into tattoo work. I did not have the vintage Raptor because he didn't really do anything for me. Oh yeah, by the way, the necklace is actually part of the vest right here, so it doesn't really flop around much whenever you're playing around with him. Anyhow, like I was saying, I didn't have the vintage Raptor. He didn't do anything for me, but I really like the redo of this figure. despite the issues that I had with the mask, with this here, despite the issues that I brought up, I do still really like the look of him. I think it's very unique. Like I said, he is 100% the first in a series of Cobra operatives that we're going to get that are basically supervillains. Wait until you see Crystal Ball. And as a matter of fact, I think this line of figures like Raptor here, Crystal Ball, I'm thinking of taking them out of Cobra and making them like just part of Darklon's mercenary unit. Like he just has a mercenary unit of these freaks. I think that would be pretty cool. Okay, so two things for articulation that I almost forgot to mention was that he does have a butterfly joint right here, but it's not very deep. And there's not a whole lot of play in it, unfortunately, because you would want something with a deep butterfly joint for those flight poses. It would just be add to, like, you know, the dramatic flight poses, but it isn't a very good butterfly joint. And it's not just because of the vest. You can see in the cut right there that there's not a whole lot of mobility. But one thing that is interesting, and this comes in handy whenever we have General Ledger, which we'll be taking a look at in a second, that I forgot to mention, is that his gauntlets do pivot independently of his wrists. So you can position the feathers and the gauntlets wherever you want them to be whenever you're posing him. Looking at the accessories, the first thing we're going to look at is something that we looked at a little bit already, and that is his Raptor cowl, or rather his Falcon cowl. They did some really good detail on this. Once again, going to the feathers just like they did with his vest right here. The feathering has some great texturing, has some great coloring as well. Doesn't have sort of like the two-tone. There's a little bit of dark feathering on the side right here, but it's predominantly brown with some tan going on right here. Whoops. I love the eyes. I think they did a fantastic job on the eyes of this cowl, like making it look like this really was a bird at one point, right down to the beak. Like this isn't just a headdress. This came off of a bird that he killed. This looks really cool, and it fits him very well as well. It doesn't clip on. It's just sort of molded to conform to its head, like Zartan's hood, and it kind of locks in. I don't know if they did this on purpose or if it was just happenstance, but you can see that like the ridges of the feathers coming off the cowl kind of lock in with the feathers of his vest right here and helps to hold everything in place. And that really does look like a complete look right here. And this is what I mean. Like if they would have taken away the domino mask and either brought the hood, the eyes of the cowl down level so it like covered his head more, or these would have been goggles, I think that would have been a better look than this right here. The next thing we're going to take a look at is his dagger, and it's nothing special. It's a standard dagger. As a matter of fact, I think this might be the dagger that came with Chuckles. I can't remember. But it does have sort of like that Rambo First Blood survival knife look to it, right down to like the blood groove in the mid blade right there. I also like that the hilt is black and they painted it silver. I always love when they two-tone their weapons. Now, Raptor doesn't really have a sheath per se for his knife, but on this thigh pouch, this set of thigh pouches right here, he has this loop that the dagger just kind of fits into the loop, which is a little disappointing because he has these really cool boots right here with the feathers coming up off of it. It would have been awesome if this would have just been a boot knife, that like maybe there would have been a sheath built into the top of the boot that he could have just pushed it down into there. This is okay, but I don't know, with it being exposed like that, it's kind of eh. He also does have a firearm, which I don't think the original Raptor had. He just has a pistol right here, and it does look good. I like the sculpt of it. I believe we've seen this pistol before. You can see it sort of has, it looks like what is a laser sight on the bottom right there. I love the two-toning, just like the dagger, with the black hilt, the black trigger and trigger guard, the black barrel, but then the slide, the action right here is that burnished silver. I really like that. And this obviously goes into the holster that sort of flops around on his side right here. It does fit in there very well. It also fits into his hands very well. Let's do this because obviously he's left-handed. You just push it in and twist. Whoop. And twist it in right there. And he gets a good grip on it. like so. Just something I want to draw attention to now because I didn't notice it before until I was putting the pistol in his hand, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I didn't realize that the fingers of his gloves are textured, and you can see like his trigger fingers right here are sharpened a little bit like they're taloned themselves. So he does have the claws, which we're going to take a look at in a minute, but it does look like they went the extra effort and sort of gave him like Raptor claws on the ends of his gloves, and the gloves are like mesh netted right there to like make them a little stronger. That's a really cool touch. And the last weapon we have to take a look at here are the claws that have come with a few of our ninja characters recently, and these are really cool, and they fit Raptor really well. Now we have two of them, one for each hand, so he can get into those birds of prey positions that are going to look really cool once we get the flight packs on him. So here they are on him. They just fit over the hands just like they do with the ninja characters. The gloves are a little heavy, so it's a little hard to get them to come straight off the back of the hand. But being that he's portraying a raptor, a bird of prey, I kind of like this sort of like hooked look he has going on with them. And before we take a look at what everybody is waiting for, the wing pack, I want to take a look at General Ledger right here. And while it is a good sculpt, and I do like the paint apps, and I appreciate the inclusion of the bird, there's not much to it. Pretty much what you see here is what you get. It's just a plastic slug. I was hoping he was going to be like Spirit's Freedom, the eagle, that like the wings were going to be removable, and we might have some wings in flight for him as well. However, we do not. What you see here is pretty much it. We don't even have an additional head sculpt that we could swap out or a way to take the hood off of the Falcon. He does have perch points on his gauntlets just like Spirit does, for Freedom. And there is a single peg for him. And it just perches on his arm like so. I mean, it looks cool. I appreciate that they included him, but they didn't really take it as far as they could with giving him like additional legs or even like unhooding his head, because he's just decoration at this point. And now here's what everybody was waiting for, the wings, and I had to get Raptor out of shot because these actually take up a pretty wide wingspan. Look at these things when they're fully open. As a matter of fact, let's lay them down and let's see when they're at full extension. Actually, let's see, what is full extension? Bring them up like that and then down like that, and there we go. That from wingtip to wingtip, they have a wingspan of 17 inches. That's pretty impressive for something as compact, that can fold up as compact as these can. There is massive amounts of articulation on these wings. I haven't played with the new Falcon yet, but I kind of feel like that Hasbro, the Marvel Legends team, kind of took some cues from Raptor's wings here. These look really cool. Not only do they articulate really well, and you'll be able to see all of the things that they can do once we have Raptor wearing it, but I like the metal discs here. The hinge points are metal, not plastic, so they're less prone to break. I like having the vulture-like fans underneath the wings right here. The backside, there's not much to speak of. I wish these would be colored in, because I'm assuming these are the exhaust ports for the jetpack, because we do have the top sides colored in, but nothing down here. Then we have like this metal tail right here that is presumably a blast shield to protect him from the heat trailing down from the wings. These are really cool. Like, I can't stress enough just how fantastic the articulation is on these. I mean, look at this. These can hinge all the way up like this. So you can put them in like full poses. Like, these wings are great. The wings were worth the cost of the figure in and of itself, I feel. Then you have Raptor here with the socket on his back, and the peg fits in so well, so perfect. And you can see that the color scheme matches the rest of his outfit perfectly. Like, just look at some of the things that you can do. Folding them up, using them to shield him from enemy fire. Like, how cool is this? How cool is it that you can get these poses, these dramatic in-flight poses? But you know what he's missing? You know what he doesn't have? And I know Hasbro doesn't give it with their figures for any reason, but he needs a flight stand. A character like this, a figure like this, he should have come with a flight stand. But, alas, he did not. Okay, so now let's get this off and see how he looks with just having his holster here. Okay, getting it down over all the business of his boot was a little tricky. Come on, come on. See, there's nothing really functional about that. It's just there for looks. But there with that off and the holster slung down a little bit more, and you have the belt in view now too, I honestly think that looks better. Let's slip his pistol in there, and yeah, I think I like this look a lot better. And now for size comparison, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series General Hawk and Vipra from the Python Patrol. Here he is beside Valaverse Action Force Senshi and Warpath Eclipse. Here he is beside Hasbro Marvel Legends Taskmaster from the Cabal 3-pack and Daredevil Elektra. And all of a sudden, it doesn't seem so ridiculous to bring Taskmaster into G.I. Joe, does it? Here he is beside Mattel Masterverse Masters of the Universe New Eternia Skeletor and Masters of the Universe movie Evil Lyn. Here he is beside NECA Toys Dungeons & Dragons Warduke and Grimsword. And finally, here he is beside Airborne and me from the G.I. Joe Steel Corps. I do wish the head had better articulation. I do wish they had done away with the domino mask and replaced it with goggles or maybe even a visor built into the cowl of some sort. I also wish they hadn't gotten fancy with the sculpt of the boots, the bottom of the boots, because while I did say that he can be pretty precarious to stand up because of the rounded boots, it gets worse when you put the wingsuit, when you put the wing pack on him. That little piece of plastic causes a lot more back weight than what you would expect, so you really have to lean him forward. And it's not that easy with those rounded boots. I feel like that if the boots had been more standard, if they had been flat on the bottom, and he had a more solid base to stand, you wouldn't have to lean him so far forward whenever he's wearing the wingsuit. Or, I keep calling it a wingsuit. Whenever he's wearing the wing pack. And that does take me to my other gripe, the final gripe that I had, is that he 100% should have come with a flight stand. I know Hasbro doesn't issue flight stands with their figures. I don't think they've ever issued a flight stand with their figures, not even with somebody like the Silver Surfer. Other than that, this guy's nuts. I meant it when I said he's basically the first in a series of Cobra agents we're going to get that look like supervillains, because he 100% looks like a supervillain. It doesn't help that they modeled him after the MCU Vulture, and you can't tell me they didn't. I don't have a problem with that. I love it. I think it's a great update to the figure. I know some people are upset that he didn't come with the cape, and I do kind of feel like that maybe with this one, they should have done with this kind of what they did with Road Pig, meaning that maybe he should have come with a cloth goods cape as well, so that you could get that vintage look out of him for the characters, or for the people that wanted that vintage looking character. And then maybe you could have also outfitted him with a helmet, like done away with like the Raptor cowl and the head sculpt, and maybe just had like a helmeted head that you could pop on him for when he's wearing the wings and when he's in flight. And preferably a helmeted head that could look up, because that one, like, there's no excuse for that. He's a flying character that can't look up. I do think I'm removing him from the ranks of Cobra, and I do think I'm going to put him into the ranks of Darklon's mercenaries whenever Darklon shows up, because I already have it in my head that it's going to be like Darklon and his 4 horsemen, and I already know like who that's going to be, and if it's as good as it is in my head, it's just going to be awesome. General Ledger was also a little bit of a letdown. General Ledger was also a little bit of a letdown. I really wish they would have given him like unfurled wings and an unhooded head. Also, I really like the jetpack, the wing pack that comes with him. The articulation of the wings is insane. It is fantastic. I like the color palette of him. I do like the figure, despite the issues that I have and the gripes that I have. I do like the figure. I do like the update of the character. And this is really making me wonder what they're going to do with some of the other, like, more nuts figures that were part of the vintage line, especially the ones that came in at that tail end. We've already seen what they've done with Crystal Ball, like, and there are plenty more that they can do, like, modern update, just insane things with, and I am there for it. Well, look who made it to the end, you legend. If you made it this far, please give the video a like and consider subscribing while you're clicking buttons down there. If you already are a subscriber, I want to thank you for taking time and hanging out with me and talking toys again. If you like what we do here and you want to help the channel out, please consider becoming a member of the Steel Core. You can do so by channel memberships or by becoming a monthly subscriber to my Ko-fi page. Link in the description below. Core members get access to members-only exclusive videos, the Discord server, and eventually members-only live streams, all for just $1 per month. So until next time, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.